are, of course, approaching Remembrance Weekend, and we're being reminded to not only think of those who were killed and injured in the world wars, or the many conflicts since, but also to remember those fighting for freedom and peace right across the world today. Right now, more than 100 countries are affected by many kinds of conflicts and wars. Well, Isabel has more details.
Yes, well, with Remembrance Weekend fast approaching, we thought it'd be a good time to really try to remember the very many countries at conflict. And here is a list of all of those ongoing at the moment. And you'll see that the Middle East and North Africa having the longest list. Israel and Palestine both in there. We move on to Africa and you'll see there 35 countries at conflict, mostly civil wars for them. And in Asia, 19 conflicts, with India at war with both China and Pakistan. And we've drawn that up into a graphic of the globe. And this shows that 3/4 of the planet today are actually at conflict. So you've got in purple over there the situation ongoing between Russia and Ukraine. You move across to the green and you'll see Afghanistan on the ongoing political turmoil. Within Africa, you see the upsurgency, the terror upsurgency, as well as lots of civil war. And then the drug wars continuing across South America and Central America. Right in the middle, though, in the middle of the screen, do not forget Yemen, because, of course, many journalists simply cannot get in there and it is massively underreported. But our final graphic this morning really looks at the conflicts that we are most aware of today. The ongoing situation with Ukraine, but right in the middle, the longest and most historic ongoing conflict of all time, and that is between Israel and Hamas.
Well, let's talk to the People's Deputy of Ukraine, a member of the Ukrainian Parliament, Inna Sovsun, who joins us now. Really good to see you this morning. Is there, I don't know if frustration is the right word, that there is so much, and understandably so much attention on what is going on in the Middle East, that it means that what is happening in Ukraine, far from it stopping, but it just drops out of the headlines?
Indeed, I understand. I do follow the international news, and I am seeing that there is much less coverage of the situation in Ukraine. Of course, the reality for us hasn't changed a bit. We are in the middle of the war. We had a 2-hour air raid alert in Kiev just yesterday, which meant for me that my son, who is at school here in Kiev, had to go to the bomb shelter. And I'm not even speaking about the areas which are closer to the front line. The situation over there is even worse because they're basically being shelled every single day. Every single day, civilians are being killed because of the Russian shelling by artillery, planes, fighter jets, you name it. So yes, it is not on the news, but it doesn't mean it is not happening in real lives for us here.
President Zelenskyy, of course, did such an incredible job of capturing the world's attention, travelling the world, garnering lots of financial and military support for Ukraine. How much harder has his job become since the eyes of the world have understandably moved elsewhere now?
Well, it became much more difficult for all of us working on the international scene. Of course, the president is the major representative of Ukraine, and he is, of course, extremely concerned about lack of coverage. But we also understand that, media coverage is one thing, but the issue of military aid is slightly different, and we are still grateful for the commitment of other countries, including the UK, that is being made. We are getting the weapons that is so crucial for our survival. Unfortunately, not enough of it for us to win, but at least we get a chance to continue the fight. Of course, I would wish for the fight to be over, but unfortunately, we do not have enough weapons to deliver victory that we are all dreaming of.
I wonder if there is a responsibility on people like us to keep talking about what is happening in Ukraine, because is there a danger that if it drops away from our headlines, if it stops being on the front pages of the newspapers, that actually gives Putin a freer hand to do more of what he wants and to make this fight even harder?
Well, it's far from me to define your responsibility, of course. I would never do that. But I do believe that indeed, if it is not being covered by the foreign media, then of course this will mean that the attention of your societies to this issue will drop. And then your politicians will not feel so much pressure from their constituencies to support Ukraine. And then, of course, that will mean decreased level of support for Ukraine. But I will also point out to one more issue, is that Russia is really good at propaganda, including propaganda in other countries,